Paul Houghton.
Okay, I don't see it on my screen. Usually you get a banner at the top. Okay. There it is. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the second part of the local review body. This is a hearing. It's in connection with an application for review, holiday accommodation at Pendrith Road and Bridge of Allen. Sorry, my paper's falling off the table there. I'm chairing the meeting today, and in attendance we have Councillors Brisley and Houston. We have two independent advisors. We have, excuse me, Ewan Grant, who's a legal advisor, and Richard Callender, who will be advising us on planning matters. Also at the meeting is Sheila McLean, who will be clerking the meeting on our behalf, and Owen O'Donnell, who will be keeping us right in regard to the YouTube video. I've got a statement to read out. Thank you everyone for attending today's meeting. First, just a brief statement on the protocols to be followed during this remote meeting. Please note this meeting is being broadcast live on YouTube, and a recording will be made available for public viewing following the meeting. Can members please mute their microphones throughout the meeting when not speaking? This is important since it helps to ensure the quality of the audio for all present. Your microphone should be switched on when invited to speak and switched off when you have finished speaking. Please use the raise hand button to indicate that you wish to speak at any point. I do appreciate there are people on the telephone and won't be able to do that, so if you could just let me know. If any members lose connection or have any technical issues during the meeting, please alert the clerk as soon as possible, either using the chat function within the meeting or by email or phone. I'll now ask the clerk to carry out a roll call of the elected members participating in today's meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Margaret Brisley.
Present.
Councillor Graham Houston.
Present.
Councillor Jim Thompson.
Yeah, present.
That's all members present, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. We have somebody waiting in the lobby. I'm guessing it will be the applicant. Okay, as a hearing today,
Susan Dixon
Is now joining.
on that basis, we will be inviting Richard Callender to make a presentation, followed by the applicant and Stephen Spears, who I believe is the Development Control Officer for Stirling Council. Mr. Houghton, you have 5 minutes for the presentation when it reaches that point. So if you could decide amongst yourselves whether you want to spread that 5 minutes over the 3 representatives that you have here today, or it's one individual. I'll obviously let you know at the time. So if I could hand you over to Richard Callender to make a presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Richard Callender, Planning Advisor to the Local Review Body. Purpose of the presentation really is just a review of the agenda papers, highlighting pertinent points, and it also includes a PowerPoint presentation, which includes the application plans and photographs of the site. DM Hall, on behalf of Mrs. Susan Dixon, are seeking a review of a delegated decision to refuse planning permission, excuse me, the selection of 5 holiday accommodation units, office, cafe and toilets, retrospective application, reference number 2000685 full, Drumbrae Farm, Pendreek Road, Bridge of Allen. Refused under delegated powers, 28th of July 2021. Reference to agenda papers, the application for review and review statement, supporting documents, pages 125 to 131. Planning application form, decision notice and report of handling, pages 132 to 146. Reasons for refusal are that, in the opinion of the planning authority, the development has been unable to ensure a safe means of access. Scale of the development is expected to generate a significant increase in the number of vehicle movements at the access junction. As such, in the interest of road safety, the junction is required to provide adequate visibility displays, 2.4 metres by 70 metres, measured in either direction from the centre of the access, within which there should be no obstruction to visibility over 1.05 metres in height. Due to the positioning of an existing building sited at the junction, visibility to the right-hand side north of the junction is restricted, with the building limiting display to a distance much shorter than that which would be found to be acceptable. An access appraisal prepared in response to the road service consultation response to the planning applications, pages 147 to 156. Application plans and supporting landscape and visual appraisal, pages 157 to 188. I'll just share the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, if you bear with me. Just to check, can that be seen by everybody? Does that come up okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The application site is part of a long-established steading at Drumbrae Farm. Maybe just zoom in and see it in a bit more detail. This is Pendreek Road here, Rising Road, existing steading in here, complex of established buildings. Just to kind of clarify the general location of it in relation to the Bridge of Allen, the surrounding area. The star there marks the location of it. Again, I can maybe just zoom in on that. So it sits above Bridge of Allen to north of Bridge of Allen. Access is taken from Pendreek Road, which leads both to Pendreek Farm and also to Sheriff Muir. This is the junction to the left you take. Road rises up and you reach Drumbrae Farm. The parking area is referred to in some of the submissions. This is a car park that serves path network in the forest area here, and also obviously facilitates access further to the north as well. The actual development itself is a retrospective application, comprises the pods and holiday units, a snack bar, soft plane seating, office and toilet block, as laid out in this area here, and the pods shown there to the south. Position of the access is shown here. This is the Penreek Road itself, and the access to the farm, Stirling, and associated development, including the holiday development. It's just coming off this site. This is looking to the northwest. Again, the access is here. This is the view of the public road. Some of the pods come into view here, a slightly longer view showing the access and the cottage, and another view looking to the southeast, I should say, with the access road. Returning to the verbal presentation, road service consultation response to the plan application and ensuing correspondence, pages 189 to 206. Further comments from the planning application case officer. A proposed conditions 207 to 211. A speed survey report submitted by the applicant in response to the case officer's comments, pages 213 to 224. Relevant development plan policies 225 to 226. Previous meeting of the LRB on 8th October determined that further written submissions be submitted by Stirling Council's Transport Development Control Service and the applicant's traffic and transportation advisors, setting out with reference to relevant technical standards and road safety guidance, respective rationales for, firstly, the measurement of existing visibility at the junction of the access to Drumbrae Farm with the adjoining public road, and secondly, dimensions of the visibility display that should be provided at the Drumbrae Farm access to serve the additional vehicular movements generated by the holiday accommodation development. Applicant submissions, page 227 to 240. Written submissions from Stephen Spears, Development Control Officer, Stirling Council, pages 241 to 244. Applicant's response to the written submission, pages 245 to 250. Development Control Officer response to these further written submissions, page 251 to 252. Hearing statement from the applicant, page 253. A hearing statement from the Development Control Officer, page 255 to 256. End of presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions to Mr. Callender?
Not from me, thank you.
Okay. Richard, you might not be able to answer this. It's not clear from the additional presentation documents, but has there been any, since the road has been upgraded, has there been any white lining, etc., done to delineate the junction?
I can't say for sure. I don't actually know if the white lining on a single track road. I think the majority is perhaps might to define the carriageway edge, but I can't give an answer to that.
Yeah,
certainly the time I visited the site, from you see from the photographs, and there was no.
I'll ask the roads officer when we reach his presentation. Thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions, Mr. Houghton, you have 5 minutes. As I say, you can spread it over the three individuals, or the time's yours. 5 minutes starting now. I'll let you know at the 4th minute.
Thank you. I've really got nothing to say. I'll let Duncan say his piece, and then if there's any time left, maybe Susan would like to say a few words. But I can't really add to the ongoing debate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to say. We are, I suppose, in slight disagreement with the view of what Pendrith Road is. It's a 3-metre wide U-class rural road. There's a lot of debate about the standards applied to that road. We don't think it's applicable at DMRB applied to the road or the junction, and that's where the difference comes with ourselves and the roads officer. We've done a speed survey which shows the road is extremely light traffic, and we've also demonstrated that the speeds are 24 miles an hour, 85th percentile. So we're of the view that 2.4 by 70 metres visibility split is unreasonable and unrealistic given the nature characteristics of the road. We've been on site, we've made the site full, and we can get 2.4 by 45 to the right, 0.4 by to the left if required. We think the junction is fit for purpose. We don't think it's unsafe, and we think it's further development of that nature. So that's all I've really got to say. We've got all that information in a report, it would have done a site visit to let the councillors see the site itself, because I photographed it. But that's all I've got to say. Maybe Susan wants to say something else.
Okay, Susan, would you like to add anything as the applicant?
No, I'm fine. I'm just
Okay.
listening.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's over to us councillors to ask questions of the applicant and agents. Any points to raise? Councillor Houston.
Yeah, Chair, thank you. I'm trying to think what's the question I need to ask and who I need to ask it to. But I'm trying to differentiate between why is there this difference of opinion between two professionals? And does it come down to are we considering this to be a road or a street? And is it been looked at through two different prisms? There's one set of professionals looking at it as a road, and another set of professionals looking at it as a street. So I'm confused as to why there is this difference of opinion. So I'm the councillor for the area for Bridge of Allen and Dunblane. So I know the area, I know the road. I'm actually, when I looked at the traffic results and speeds, I'm surprised they were as high. It's not my experience when you're on that road, you want to go in any kind of speed at all. And speed is not, I know, an issue about visibility displays, but how do we get our way through the understanding of the opinions of two professionals on this? As I say, I'd like to know whether or not they are looking at two different sets of criteria, and hence the difference of opinions.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question, Councillor Houston, that we seem to have the design manual for roads and bridges being used, and then there's a reference to designing streets. I'll certainly ask the question when we get to the roads officer, but Richard, do you want to come in before we ask the applicant?
Yeah, sorry, it's just to make sure that there's still a hearing statement from the roads officer that really covers these points as well. So it's whether the debate could take place after you've heard from the roads officer, where the two cases have been sort of explained from a professional viewpoint, and then you could look at it from your own perspective to try and get an answer to the questions you're looking for. Okay,
no, I agree. I think we've got to ask the roads officer the same question, but there is one professional saying designing streets is the appropriate documentation to be used. So I wouldn't mind exploring that. I think that's where you're coming from, Councillor Houston. Yeah. Mr. Burrell, have you got a view on that?
I do, yeah. And the problem with DMRB is it's a standard for a typical road. Now, a road, I would argue, is generally got two-way traffic on it. Pendrick Road is a 3-metre wide, I would say, U-class road. I can be corrected by the council on that, roads officer, but at best, class road, but in reality, it's a U-class. And it's a single class road. It's a road, but it doesn't serve the same function as those in DMRB.
You're breaking up, Mr. Burrell. I'm really struggling to hear what you're saying.
I'm just saying that I don't think Hello?
I was just going to suggest that perhaps Mr. Burrell logs out and tries to come back in again. We might find it's more successful.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's hang around and give you that opportunity.
Thank you.
Duncan Burrell
is now exiting.
Duncan Birrell.
is now joining.
Mr. Birrell, can you confirm you can hear us again?
I could hear you perfectly well before. I'm not sure how you were able to hear me, but
Thank you.
It does sound a bit better, a bit muffled, but we can hear you, Mr. Birrell. So if you'd like to continue, thank you.
yeah, I was just. Penrith Road is a 3 metre wide, at best, C-class road, but in reality a U-class road. It's a road, but what I've tried to demonstrate in my documentation is that DMRB is not applicable for a road of this nature. DMRB is meant for two-way traffic roads. It's meant for a standard road as we would all consider it, not a rural road as Penrith Road is, which is why we've looked at designing streets, because it looks at roads that have lower speed limits. DMRB only goes down to a road that has a 30-mile-an-hour design speed, and we've demonstrated that we're well under that, and as the councillor just said, potentially than the speed limits that we've had undertaken. So that's why we've looked at designing streets, because we don't feel that DMRB is applicable. There isn't another documentation for a road of this nature. It is, the sight lines around bends, the ability to pass another vehicle are all restricted, and therefore speeds are very low, which is why we're saying that the visibility space should be in that context as well, which is why we've suggested they're more akin to designing streets. So there isn't. I don't think there's really a document that embraces a road of this nature, but that's where the disagreement comes with the council, the roads office.
Okay, thank you. Any further points to Mr. Houghton, Mr. Birrell? No? Okay, thank you. Mr. Spears, would you like to make your presentation? Again, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, I'm Stephen Spears, the Development Control Officer with Stirling Council. Members of the local review body, thank you for the invitation to provide a brief statement with regards to the view of the Transport Development team in relation to the current planning application. As you'll be aware from our initial consultation response, alongside the further written submission prepared and submitted at your request, our service is of the opinion that the proposed development represents an impact upon road safety due to the generation of increased vehicle movements at the access junction to the development site from the public road, where there is insufficient visibility. For the reasons set out within our further written statement, I would advise members that the provision of sufficient visibility space should be fully considered, and that the relevant guidance identified by our service in this instance to be contained within the design manual for roads and bridges should be followed to ensure that there is no detrimental impact to road user safety as a result of the proposed development. It remains the opinion of the Transport Development team that sufficient visibility space, which should be provided commensurate with the aforementioned guidance, cannot be provided at this junction, and therefore the proposed development represents an impact on road safety. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Very brief. Any questions to Mr. Spears? I'll ask you the same question about designing streets versus the Roads and Bridges manual. Have you any thoughts?
Yeah, I think so one of the documents we submitted was a response to the applicant's further written statement. I think that's section 4H within the hearing documentation. Within that, we sort of look at, or I have looked at, what designing streets states as the context in which it should be applied, and what constitutes a street. I think as the applicant's agent has highlighted, that there is no applicable guidance that is explicitly stated that applies to existing rural roads, single track roads such as Pendreek Road. In the absence of such a guidance, and even for other roads, as my colleague Mr. Perry stated for the previous application, where they be A-class roads that don't form part of the trunk road network, the DMRB is considered the applicable guidance. So in a review of this application, we have disregarded this as having the qualities that a street would have, and therefore we have chosen to use the guidance of the DMRB to review the standards through which this application should be reviewed.
Okay, a couple of other points, Stephen. Has the road been lined, or would you expect it to be lined? And the other point is, and we made this statement at the previous hearing, that there is a fairly large complex behind it which generates traffic. What's your views on that aspect?
Yeah. So firstly, the lining of the road. The road is currently unlined, and there's no intentions to line that road. It's typical of rural roads of this nature that lining isn't considered appropriate. It can narrow the existing road width down, and that can be detrimental. In terms of lining specifically, the junction itself, implementing a give way line across that, that may be something that the applicant wished to promote as part of their application, but it's not something that we had to consider at the time, and it's not something we would generally look to promote ourselves. In terms of traffic generation, I think this was a consideration we discussed with the planning officer when we initially reviewed the application, the understanding that the horse riding and the livery behind that have ceased to operate, but that there's no planning control measures that can be put in place to ensure that traffic doesn't then come back with the resuming of those operations. And therefore we viewed the circa 20 daily trips that this facility would generate as being a significant change to the use of this access junction.
Okay, thank you. That's me. Fellow councillors, any questions? Okay, thank you. Well, can I thank you for your presentation? It's now up to us to discuss the matters in hand and reach a decision. I'm happy to go first on this one because I do have a lot of sympathy with the applicant. It is a junction that has generated a lot of traffic in the past, and it hasn't created any difficulties. I do take on board the lack of a sightline looking right, but I'm of the view that given the history of the site, I would be agreeable to allowing this to go ahead, but on the basis that we do put some form of give way and make it clear that there is a junction there. That's my view. Councillor Houston?
Chair, I very much support that. As I say, knowing the area and knowing the previous business and the traffic that's been generated without, to my knowledge, incident, and certainly not an issue that's of any concern in the locality of residents, etc., around Bridge of Allen. There's no issues about this being a dangerous site in any way. And I don't think we can legislate for what might happen in the future and therefore prevent a business going forward as is. I think it's a matter of professional judgment, and I respect both the officers' views. I understand that, but I've heard Mr. Spears say that they've disregarded the streets and gone for the DRMB, and I understand that. However, I do appreciate that this is a narrow road that you cannot pass on, and volumes of traffic are quite low, in fact, and certainly the speed is very low. And I think that therefore itself mitigates against the regulation about the visibility displays, because it is
exiting
a wide access and it can be seen. So I'm comfortable that the safety aspect is still acceptable, and I'm happy to grant the application.
Okay. Councillor Brisley?
I can sympathise with a lot of what's been said, but my main concern is the fact that there was a livery and horse riding business there, which we've got to take, because there's no condition, I understand, that we can put on to say that that isn't permitted in the future. My understanding is it could start up at any time without looking for any further consent. That would be a real worry for me.
Duncan Birrell.
Is now joining.
And I mean, I can see the other two of you. I mean, I am concerned about that. And I don't think there's anything legally that we are able to do. I'd be happier if I had assurances or there was some condition that the horse riding business couldn't start up again. But I suppose that is a matter for the applicant.
Is now exiting.
Okay, so
I'm still a bit unhappy about it.
Right. Okay. We've made the decision that there's two at least are supported.
Yes.
I still want to look at conditions, and I do believe that the minimum we can ask for is a formal give way. Richard, are there any other conditions that we ought to be aware of that might be appropriate?
The application is retrospective, councillor, so really these situations, the norm isn't, well, apart from maybe additional ones relating to road safety, which is the kind of crux of the review anyway. There's no
is now joining
requirements, I don't think, in terms of the actual day-to-day use of the premises. That seems to be accepted as has been accepted as being acceptable from a planning point of view, from the case officer's perspective. So it's really just the access situation. So I mean, the giveaway signage, it would have to comply with any public standards, because you can maybe refer to these, but it would be within the curtilage of the property, wherever the sort of adopted road ends. It's really at the liberty of the applicant to really install what they wish. But if it's a requirement of the LRB that, again, some additional measures are put in place, then that's something that can be covered with a condition. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Houghton, could I ask your views on that condition? Do you think it's reasonable?
Certainly, I think in my view, the local review body could attach a condition asking for some white lining to be put in.
Okay. Certainly, I would like that condition. Councillor Houston?
Just for clarity, who are we asking to put the white lining in and where? Is this at the access and point and in the applicant's land ownership? Or because I don't think we as a local review body could put a condition on an application for the council to carry out some work. So I just want clarification so that everyone knows what we're expecting.
Fair comment, Councillor Houston. I was assuming that the applicant would be doing the work. Mr. Houghton, perhaps you want to check with the applicant. Are you content to do that?
Susan, would you be content to do some white lining?
Yeah, we would, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's got that cleared up. So, right, the decision. Sorry, Sheila, you want to come in? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to confirm that members also wish to take on board the condition that's set out on page 211 of the agenda. There's a condition.
Of course, I had asked about that earlier. Yep. Let's just double check that everything's in order. Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing was to ask Councillor Brisley if she would like a dissent recorded.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So the decision is we will allow this development subject to a second condition that giveaway white line markings are included. Okay, can I thank everybody for attending today? Mr. Burrell, sorry we kept on losing you there and coming back, so I hope you picked up on the discussion. So thanks again, and that's the decision of the board. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.